Today we're talking about Craig Ferguson Tickle Fight. This is a Netflix original comedy special just released last week, and it stars Craig Ferguson, who used to have his own late night talk show, and he was also on the Drew Carey show. And he has been a comedian for a little while. He does have other specials out there. I've only seen one, but it was pretty good too. And this one was good. It's him in Montreal. It was shot this year. I believe he mentioned that he was 57 in this one. So, he's a veteran. He's been doing it for a while. He does have quite a history, which he brings up throughout his special. Like, he's got a history with drugs. And when he first came to America, he was illegal. So he had to take some shady work. So he actually ended up working for some mobsters. So he does have some interesting stories to tell. He starts out talking about things like he has a beard, and which I guess he didn't have on the Late Show, and he was talking about that and how hairy he is, and how when he started to grow a mustache, it just looked so weird that he had to end up growing a beard to cancel it out, I guess. And talks about how Twitter went crazy and cat ladies went crazy when he started to grow a mustache, just telling him little things like he wasn't allowed to. Only Tom Selleck is apparently allowed to. So there were some funny jokes there. He basically says in his special that it's all about just telling one joke. And if people are lucky, they'll hear one joke from him, and it ends up being kind of true because he'll start to tell a joke and then he'll go off on all these tangents, but they're intentional tangents, leading into different funny stories. And so he talks about like the cat lady thing leads into talking about like his grandma and getting babysat by her. And he talks about having pets and because of the cats, and it kind of goes on from there. Like he talks about hamsters and how they're suicidal and how depressing that is, which was pretty funny. He has some morbid jokes about that. He does talk about Donald Trump, not a lot, but a lot of it is about like how when Trump first ran, he regretted not being in late night anymore because of all the jokes and stuff he could do, because those jokes, as a lot of comedians have said, kind of write themselves. So he did make some jokes about that, and throughout the show he's got a couple little digs, but not very much. He also talks about like his drug history. He's got a really funny story that he tells about a friend of his that got into some trouble in Vegas, and how he had to get him out of that using his mobster connections from back in the 80s. And he talks about drugs and how he had to do so much because of the way interior design is in the 70s, which was funny. He goes off on a little tangent about that interior design. For the most part, everything was original. Like, I've never heard those jokes before. You would think from somebody that age, there's a few age jokes, but not very many. And you would think that somebody that age would tell typical jokes, but he doesn't. And he doesn't get too dirty, but he doesn't prevent himself from swearing and things like that every once in a while. So, and he's got a little bit of some sex jokes, but not too much. So he's pretty good overall. He does talk a bit about like why he had magicians on the Late Show, even though he doesn't like them, which is a pretty funny story. And he talks about how his friend told him like the world's oldest joke because it was found on like some hieroglyphics, and that's basically the bookend of his show. He starts off telling it that, and then he goes off on all these tangents, and then ends up with actually telling the joke, which was not funny, but it was the whole journey to get there that was funny. And he does tell some jokes about being older. he does tell jokes about like the drinking and having to give that up and being vegan now and what that's like and the people he has to deal with now. He actually blames that on Netflix, and being that it's a Netflix special, he makes fun of that too, because I guess he saw a documentary that made him think that being a vegan was a good idea, and it stuck. And then he also talks, that kind of leads into a story about being in Japan and using a Japanese bathroom, which to him, the way he tells it, it sounds like this magnificent journey that he had, and it was pretty funny the way he did it. So overall, he's a funny comedian. The jokes are good. There's never any lulls in the crowd. The video is edited well. Like there's no weird camera angles or sound issues. It's shot in Montreal. It's not a huge stadium, it's more of a smaller event, but it's a good sized crowd. But there's no hecklers or no interactions with the crowd, no dull moments, no uneasy moments or anything like that. It's a pretty smooth show and a good sit. So overall, I would rate this I would say it's an 8 out of 10. It's a good show. It's funny. There's lots of laughs, and mostly because it's original. You don't see the jokes coming, so that's big considering how many of these specials that I've seen. So being original is important. So I would give it an 8 out of 10, and on Netflix I'll be giving it a thumbs up. So that's Craig Ferguson Tickle Fight, shot in Montreal and available now on Netflix. It's a Netflix original comedy special. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe, or all the above. Thank you, and have a nice day.